Flight 11 proved both stages can return from space under precise control, hovering at exact positions. Elon Musk then dropped one word that set the timeline: springtime. But here's the breakthrough. SpaceX discovered they don't need Pad B's full orbital mount completed. The chopsticks can catch ship and simply lower it onto a mobile stand below. Could this game-changing approach accelerate the spring 2026 target even further? Let's dive right in. Right after Musk posted about the hypersonic hover, one question dominated the conversation. Someone asked directly, "When do you think the tower will catch ship?" His answer? One word: springtime. Not maybe next year or we'll see. Just springtime. That single word confirmation means we're looking at a concrete window between March and May 2026, and it aligns perfectly with Musk's earlier prediction that the attempt would happen between Flight 13 and 15. The timeline actually makes sense when you break it down. If Flight 12 launches in late December or early January, Flight 13 could realistically occur by March. But here's the critical variable that determines everything: Flight 12's performance. This mission represents the full debut of Starship 5-3, featuring hot staging integration, refined grid fins on Super Heavy, upgraded Raptor engines across both stages, and an optimized heat shield design. If Flight 12 nails these upgrades, Flight 13 becomes the prime candidate. If issues emerge, SpaceX will simply push it back one or two flights. This isn't recklessness, it's calculated risk management. What makes this timeline credible is the engineering maturity already achieved. Both stages have now demonstrated sustained hover capability after returning from hypersonic speeds. The vehicle transitions from Mach 20+ velocities to a stable hover, maintaining precise attitude control throughout. That's sophisticated flight control software, perfectly timed engine burns, and real-time adjustments happening milliseconds apart. This capability didn't exist 6 months ago. Now it's becoming routine. But two major obstacles still stand in the way. The heat shield continues to be problematic. Flight 11 showed improvement over Flight 10, but leaks and oxidation still occurred. Tiles are coming loose during re-entry. Even if SpaceX catches ship successfully, extensive refurbishment would be needed before the next flight, and that defeats the entire purpose. The goal isn't just catching it, the goal is catching it, inspecting it briefly, refueling it, and launching again within days. The second problem runs deeper. Evidence from Flight 11 suggests the nose cone fuel tank leaked during re-entry. Heat shield tiles went missing in that section, allowing extreme temperatures to penetrate the tank structure. Observers spotted localized fire and burn damage in the final seconds before landing. Even more concerning, reports indicate the main LOX tank may have suffered deformation and possible cracking under thermal stress. SpaceX engineers are treating this as priority one and expect reinforced tank structures in the V3 variant. This brings us to the breakthrough that could accelerate everything. Most analysts assumed SpaceX needed Pad B's full orbital launch mount completed before attempting a ship catch. That infrastructure is complex and time-consuming. But SpaceX found a workaround that changes the equation entirely. The chopsticks don't need a completed orbital mount. They can catch ship and immediately lower it onto a mobile stand positioned below the tower. This approach eliminates a major bottleneck. Look at what's happening at Pad B right now. The chopsticks are already installed and operational. On February 26th, they moved for the first time when the left arm opened. 2 days later, both arms lifted in coordinated test movements. The system still needs weight testing using water bags to simulate ship's mass, but the mechanical systems work. Meanwhile, components like actuators, ramps, and cladding systems are being integrated steadily. The mobile stand strategy provides crucial flexibility. If the catch succeeds, ship gets lowered onto the stand for inspection without blocking the tower. The chopsticks return to ready position immediately. This operational approach will become essential when SpaceX starts launching multiple Starships per week, and that future is closer than most people realize. Beyond the chopsticks, infrastructure upgrades are accelerating across the entire pad. Water tanks are arriving for the Deluge Flame Trench system, which manages extreme heat and acoustic forces during launch. The BQD gantry system appeared in late February, with its primary structure completed in just 4 days. This system sits parallel to the orbital mount and will support the booster quick disconnect process. The orbital mount itself is getting steel plate reinforcements and an upgraded drainage system that could house hydraulic pipes, electrical equipment, or detonation suppression systems. From an aerial view, you can see complex piping systems being installed that will connect permanently to the orbital mount's integrated pipelines. The flame trench has been excavated, and the first concrete layer is poured. Next comes rebar reinforcement, then final concrete layers, followed by flame bucket installation, and finally orbital mount integration. This level of infrastructure investment reveals SpaceX's true ambition. This year's target is 25 Starship launches, but that's just the foundation. Over the next 4 years, SpaceX plans 400 Starship launches. That's 100 launches annually once full operations begin. To put that in perspective, the entire global space industry combined launched roughly 180 rockets in 2023. SpaceX alone plans to more than double that with just Starship. That's why Cape Canaveral expansion is accelerating in parallel. The Starship launch tower at LC-39A is constructed and awaiting its orbital mount. Plans for Gigabay, a large-scale manufacturing hub, are moving forward to produce components at unprecedented rates. All of this infrastructure, all of these upgrades, they're building toward one moment: the first ship catch. When it happens and the data suggests spring 2026 is genuinely achievable, it won't just be a SpaceX milestone. No other company is even attempting this. Blue Origin is still working on basic booster recovery. China's space program remains years behind. The question isn't whether SpaceX can catch ship, it's how quickly they can make it routine. Because catching it once is impressive, but catching it repeatedly with minimal refurbishment time is when Mars missions become financially viable and humanity becomes truly spacefaring. So here's what we're looking at. Spring 2026 isn't just optimistic speculation anymore. The infrastructure is moving into place faster than anyone predicted. The mobile stand solution removes the orbital mount bottleneck completely. Flight 12 will validate the V3 upgrades, and if it performs as expected, Flight 13 becomes the moment everything changes. SpaceX has proven they can control both stages through hypersonic reentry and precision hover. They've caught Super Heavy successfully. The only remaining variable is executing the same precision with ship, and the engineering foundation is already there. What makes this timeline remarkable isn't just the speed, it's the systematic approach. Every upgrade at Pad B serves multiple purposes. The chopsticks aren't just for catching, they're designed for rapid turnaround. The water deluge system protects infrastructure for hundreds of launches. The BQD gantry and reinforced orbital mount create operational flexibility that didn't exist before. SpaceX isn't building for one dramatic catch attempt. They're building the infrastructure for an era of routine spaceflight that seemed impossible 5 years ago. When that first ship settles into the chopsticks grip next spring, it won't just be another test milestone. It'll be proof that full rapid reusability works, that catching both stages is viable, and that the 400 launch 4-year plan isn't fantasy. Other companies will still be figuring out basic recovery while SpaceX is launching weekly. Are you ready to witness this moment? Drop spring 2026 in the comments and share your predictions on which flight will make history. Hit that like button if you're excited about what's coming, and subscribe to Space Update 24 hours so you don't miss a single update as we count down to the most ambitious catch attempt in spaceflight history. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. SpaceX just shattered every record in spaceflight history. In 2025 alone, they've already launched over 150 Falcon rockets, averaging more than 13 missions per month. Meanwhile, ULA's next-generation Vulcan has flown exactly once this year. The company that once dominated national security launches is now watching SpaceX move faster than they ever thought possible. How did the gap become this massive? What does this mean for ULA's survival? Let's dive right in. To understand how we got here, we need to go back to 2006 when United Launch Alliance was born. This wasn't a desperate merger of struggling companies. Boeing and Lockheed Martin combined their launch divisions into one powerhouse built for a single purpose: absolute reliability. ULA inherited 2 proven rockets, Atlas V and Delta IV, and for nearly a decade, they owned the premium launch market. Atlas V flew mission after mission without a single failure. Delta IV. Heavy carried billion-dollar spy satellites into the most demanding orbits. When national security was on the line, there was only one company to call. ULA charged over $100 million per launch, sometimes reaching $150 million depending on the mission. Nobody questioned the price because failure simply wasn't acceptable. That was the deal, and it worked perfectly until one company changed the entire equation. When SpaceX first entered the market, most industry veterans didn't take them seriously. Falcon 9 had early failures, and the whole idea of landing and reusing rockets seemed unrealistic. ULA executives openly questioned whether reusability even made sense. Why risk flying a used rocket when you could build a new one guaranteed to work? That logic had dominated aerospace thinking for 60 years. Then SpaceX proved everyone wrong. Boosters started landing successfully. More importantly, they started flying again. What seemed impossible became routine. Boosters weren't just flying twice. They were flying 10 times, 15 times, even 20 times. Each successful reuse drove costs down and made the economics undeniable. But SpaceX didn't stop at just saving money. They used those savings to do something even more disruptive. They started launching constantly. SpaceX transformed spaceflight from a rare, carefully orchestrated event into something that looked more like airline operations. Routine, repeatable, scalable. The company went from a handful of launches per year to dozens, then nearly 100. The entire industry was watching a revolution happen in real time, and for the first time in decades, ULA faced genuine competition. The government noticed. If SpaceX could launch more frequently, land boosters reliably, and charge half what ULA charged, why were taxpayers paying premium prices? SpaceX began winning national security contracts that once seemed permanently out of reach. The landscape had shifted, and ULA needed an answer fast. That answer was Vulcan Centaur. This next-generation rocket would replace both Atlas V and Delta IV. It would be more affordable, use Blue Origin's BE-4 engines instead of Russian imports, and restore